Now, you may think it's a little early in the morning for us to be clinking our glasses and drinking some wine, but it's all in a good cause and in the pursuit of scientific inquiry. Does your favourite bottle of wine always taste the same, or does it vary from day to day or even from hour to hour?
Now, the idea is that the flavour changes according to where the moon is in its cycle, and that's gaining some credibility among Britain's major retailers.
Tesco and M&S now invite critics to taste their ranges based on a lunar calendar, published each year by an elderly woman in Germany. It dictates good and bad days for sampling your wine.
Now, will this theory really hold water? Well, we've got Jamie Good, and he's a scientist and wine columnist for the Sunday Express, and he's here with wine merchant David Motion. Jamie,
yeah, well,
you're a scientist. You have a scientific background.
Yes.
This sounds like a bit of old bunkum to me.
Well, no, it's really interesting because as a scientist, the idea that the phases of the moon, the alignment of the planets, and strange interventions in the vineyard, like burying cows' horns, and then digging them up and then spraying what was in them around the vineyard does seem very strange. But some of the world's great wines are made by people who use this form of agriculture called biodynamics. And sometimes people have switched from making wine conventionally to making wine with biodynamics, and the wines have improved. So as a scientist, a lot of it jars with me. But as you know, the proof is in the glass in some ways, so I'm just really intrigued by it.
Well, this stuff's lovely, but David, I know that...
No, this is a bad day for wine.
Oh,
It's horrible. It's horrible today.
Well, I think we've been enjoying this a
of
bit
course
much, but you weren't completely convinced at the beginning, were you?
Well, I suppose nature hasn't really had so much of a part to play in my life, living in the city for 30 years, and I was always a bit intrigued why the same wine could taste different from the same case on different days. And we've been, at the winery, we've been bringing in more and more biodynamic wines, and because they taste better in our view. And then we thought, well, taking it to its logical conclusion, it should taste different on fruit days, flower days, root days, and so on.
All right, we should explain that a root day is a day when it tastes bad, or less good perhaps, and a fruit or a flower day are the days in which it tastes better. But this has been dreamt up by one elderly woman. Well, she obviously wasn't elderly when she started, because she's been doing it for nearly half a century. But I mean, that one person should come up with a scheme which can decide and dictate this seems extraordinary.
It does. I mean, she has a far-reaching influence, and not every grower follows her by the book. You know, we have this book with very specific instructions about when you do certain things. But it's really taken hold. I mean, it does sound like hocus pocus, the stirring of the rainwater, to dynamize it, and, you know, all the business with the cow horn and cow dung, bringing the soil alive. You know, we thought we'd test it, and we tried it on a root day last Tuesday, and tried the same wines again on a flower day. And it was remarkable.
And everyone agreed there was a difference?
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's pretty difficult, though, as a consumer, if I looked through the couple of bottles of wine at home to say, right, this is the day I have this wine now, surely there's a more scientific idea behind
Yeah, I think, personally speaking, that, yesterday and today have been root days, but I had a really good bottle of wine last night and it tasted fantastic.
Good for you.
And I think that, you know, that some aspects of biodynamics might work, and other aspects might not. I mean, also, you've got to remember that we're quite suggestible. And if I present a wine in front of you and say, this is a really good day for drinking wine, and this wine is absolutely delicious, it's priming you a little bit to like the wine. And I suspect that you know, the major supermarkets who are holding their press tastings on special biodynamics days, they might be hedging their bets a bit. They might think, well, yes, there's something in this, so we'll be on the safe side, and we'll try and show our wines on days that are better for tasting wine.
What are we drinking here, and how should it be tasting?
Yeah.
Tell us, David.
This is a dry Riesling from Germany, from the Mosel. German wine has been unfashionable for a while because it's always considered sweet.
Yes.
And we think they're making amazing wines. It's made by a guy who's well into his biodynamics and tiny production. It's exhilarating, I hope you agree, and it's a perfect breakfast drink.
I feel terrible. 5 to 9 on Sunday morning.
It's all in the good for the research.
Of course.
All in the name of
Keep
good
telling
research.
yourself that.
Lovely.
Well, it
Lovely
certainly
way to
beats
end the morning
orange
shift.
juice.
It certainly does. And we'll see. We should try this tomorrow and see if this makes a difference.
Oh, if you insist. If you insist. I suppose the problem is just people would buy less wine if there were less good days to drink it on.
I don't think that they will, because everybody, wine is part of the lifestyle, and it's not going to stop people drinking wine. I think all we're saying is in our view, it'll taste better on a fruit day, so it'll be even more explosive.
Jamie,
fantastic.
David, thank you very much, and thank you for bringing in the wine and educating us about it.
Delightful. That brings us almost to the end of breakfast, so it's goodbye from us.
Yes, it is. But before we go, here's some weather with Laura Tobin.